morning, and today we are gonna take a hike to the Kennedy Center because of the World Cup draw. So, but quick Argentina reflections. Very nice. It's completely miserable to be back here. I suppose you won't see as much snow up here as in the suburbs, but completely dreary and miserable. And again, like in my blog post, I'll talk mainly about it, but just the difference in pro versus antisocial behavior. You think that Argentina would be much rougher around the edges given, you know, the socioeconomic state of the world, but you know, actually, again, everybody pays the fare. Only saw one person not pay the fare in all of the bus rides I took. Even in the really bad parts of town, like the literal like favela. There's a rat. Like the literal favela, where the bus stop is literally on the highway. People paid the fare. You know, it's like, what are we doing? And then you come back here to DC and you see teenagers hopping the fare with impunity here. It's like, what are we doing, boys? Lost the plot. Not sure why. Sure, if you wanted to, you could make a homogeneity argument, but it's not like Buenos Aires isn't fairly diverse, right? Or it was just use the U.S. What's your skin tone diversity? And even then, there is a difference between like the indigenous versus European look. So, but overall, very positive. Best moments: Parque Saavedra. Like, stumbled upon it completely randomly. I just completely full of a lot of families and just, I guess it's a very cool glimpse into what like actual life would be if you're a regular family in Buenos Aires. So I think, right, the idea of deep travel and trying to, however transiently, just seeing real experiences, I think we kind of achieved that by seeing a real experience in that regard. There's the military museum in Tigray. And so it's a museum that's literally a single family house in a neighborhood of single family houses. But of course, there's like a rescue helicopter and an ATV out front. Like, what the hell? Walked in. It's actually pretty cool. They have a lot of cool figurines. Like if you were an autist military history guy, I'm sure you'd find it interesting. But again, it's literally a single family house, so it's not overly fancy. And so there's a backyard, of course, because it's a single family house. And so I walked into the backyard, and apparently the backyard's off limits. But this kind of makes sense, because in the backyard there's a bunch of radios, and in the shed there's somebody on a computer in a military uniform. So I suppose it is kind of relevant. Took a picture nonetheless. But and then being at Lanús bus depot, just being this guy from DC and works in finance, being in a bus depot of all places in Lanús, right, a random suburb. That's just pretty dope. Like, what are the odds? Again, that's real life, right? People waiting for the bus at a big bus depot. Homeless line behind you. It's real life. real life and fairly cool. So I can't really argue against that. But we're back here, and so yeah, here we are, slightly freezing. But I always want to talk about that. You know, I haven't. Again, the blog post will be up at some point, or it's up. I will finish it at some point. I think all of the short-term memory parts I've remembered by this point. Look at that. Got some World Bank stooges right there. Or maybe those are janitors. Of course, this is the World Bank. And so every year, there's a conference at the World Bank, which makes this part of town completely miserable. But it's good to know the spooks and the whatnot. This is a reminder that DC, of course, is that type of city. I suppose it can't be Davos. The other funny part is, of course, as we've seen on, right, you can easily walk to Jerome Powell's house or Scott Bessent's house. So it is actually going to be very cathartic whenever Argentina bank stocks go down. So walk by Bessent's house and do a little bitch and complain session. That would be great. Who says the World Bank doesn't work hard? I mean, whatever neo-lib stuff it does. That one guy. But again, DC, I've come to the conclusion that pretty much every city I visit, I will walk away disliking DC more, or DC will always come out poorly. Because most cities don't have a quarter or a third of a city wasted on government buildings. Because by definition, government buildings are dead after a certain time. Even if, right, the State Department spooks are in the office, they're not contributing to the vibe on the days when they are in, when the US decides to bomb a country unprovoked. Right. So it's all, so it's literally just dead space. And so that's very hard. Like, it's hard for a city to overcome dead space. Imagine if a city had a quarter of its square footage in a warehouse. Again, same thing, like the same works cadence, right? You're not adding to the community. It's not as though outside the FBI office there's a nice little cafe shop for mixed use living, you know? It's not like that. So yeah, and then, yeah, it's just, I don't know. The same way you see a cute girl, you just take a deep breath and sigh, because just that feeling. The same thing visiting other international cities. And again, it's a bit unfair, right? Because Buenos Aires it'd be like trying to compare New York City to Buenos Aires, because DC is really not at that level. But it's an American city, right? And so it does show where amenities and material conditions can't fully make up for fundamental deficiencies in city structure and planning and actual mixed use and actual vibrancy it, it really all does come down to mixed use development, doesn't it? Mixed use development, trees. I will say that's the trees. It is such a good signifier of wealth. If the neighborhood has big trees or not, that's one thing. But then B, they make a huge difference for how nice the city looks, for how nice it is to walk around. Yeah, it's such a simple observation that is evidently true. But the fact that it's a tree means that you can't just plop down a big tree, right? It takes years, decades of investment for the tree to take root, blah, 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 right? So it is actually somewhat like a legit policy choice / achievement in order to have nice tree coverage. So again, hugely impressed by Buenos Aires. I think it sets a very high bar for any South American city. And now I fantasize about, what if instead of buying one share of AppLovin at 12 and at like 10 times EBITDA, which just deepens the dagger a little bit, what if I put all my student loans into AppLovin at 12? 7K. And then you guys use, of course you could easily do it in a spreadsheet, but I like using ChatGPT to do it because of the little lag. And so it fully sinks in how much wealthier I could be. It's like, yeah, and you could do like, what would the 7K in AppLovin at 12 be worth today? What would it be worth at peak? And then it hits you with the six-figure number. It's like, I could be $500,000 richer, couldn't I? Wealthier, better off. Oh my gosh. It's that American Psycho business card moment. But genuinely, dude, it's 12 to, it's hovering around, I was checking last night, because what else would you do on a Friday? Again, clearly money can't make you not a loser, evidently, but dude, 12 to 600s, again, at peak it was in the 700s. EBITDA multiple, I believe, is like 40, 50 times. It's not a Palantir sales multiple business, right? When I bought it, it was like teens EBITDA multiple on trough earnings because of all the ad changes. And my thesis was cyclical will recover and had a decent balance sheet. So it's not like I had terminal risk. Oh my gosh, man. Like that alternate, the null hypothesis version of myself, where I would effectively, well, 500K, 600K. Well, I'd be much closer to I'd be much closer to being a millionaire than I am now, if that was the case. Christ, man. It's like, there's a joke, it's like, if every woman looked like insert celebrity of choice of the day. It's like, if every woman looked like Elizabeth Lail, I would still be unhappy, but I would smile more. And it's, or I would take more deep breaths. I would exhibit very strong breathing control in that universe. And same thing here. If I was $500,000 wealthier, I would still be unhappy, but I would smile more, and I wouldn't cook my tofu based dishes as much. Sigh, deep sigh. Again, if it's important to remember that you have agency in life, at the end of the day, you make decisions, then and good to remember that you've got choice. But yeah, but again, that is because I literally have the 1 share of AppLovin at that price, so it's not like it's not like I'm talking out of my ass, right? Okay, you can do Palantir, right? Like, as much of a, I don't know, forward deployed engineers, it strikes me as a suspicious saying. You could do the same financial counterfactual stuff in that case also, and it's genuinely, again, like I bought a 1 share at $9 just for the lulz of this sneaky Peter Thiel nerd Hobbit name company. And again, it's like same, like, again, AppLovin is more impressive of a AppLovin would have been a better IRR because it would have been 2022. So AppLovin would have been a better IRR. AppLovin is frankly the better AppLovin is the better business. The mobile gaming slop ads is a better business than AppLovin. It's a better business than Palantir, I would argue. And of course, for a quick history lesson, that is of course the Watergate Hotel, where Mr. Nixon did his bad behavior over there. So it is nice that, pretty much DC is a lame city in many regards. It does remind you of, and this is the Saudi embassy. Of course, it does remind you that this is the capital, and big things have happened here. Yeah, I believe this is the Saudi. Now, the Qatari embassy, which is on K Street or something, a big building, it's probably more impressive than the Saudi, if only because the Qatari embassy is in like the classic like Greek building that you see a lot around DC, whereas you can argue that the Saudi one is a bit more brutalist, and therefore not as, although the lights are cool. Yeah, right. It doesn't have like the Greek. Here we are, FIFA Kennedy Center parking. Of course, the event was closed off to the public because the Kennedy Center isn't a huge building, it turns out. Or, excuse me, the Trump Kennedy Center. I don't know. Like, I can see why Trump annoys people, and again, like, he's like, no doubt he's caused much suffering for a lot of people. But again, which U.S. president hasn't done so? Secondarily, but again, at the end of the day, like, he's a showman. If anything, some of his antics are actually like genuinely kind of homosexual or gay if you think about it. Like the YMCA thing is a common refrain, but just how he carries a grudge against some people, like, it's very childish and it's very very, remember 2016, unpresidential was the huge word, but it was very amusing. And his, I don't know, like he said something like it should be called football. You're like, yeah, I get that, Antic. So, and again, like any big event's gonna be politicized, so it's a bit strange to bitch and complain about it in this regard. If anything, you know, there's the bigger fish to fry. And it's so strange for people to complain about Infantino calling to Trump. Like, Trump could destroy the World Cup and make it a miserable experience, you know, if he wanted to. So if anything, Infantino coddling up to Trump is a very necessary piece of business, you know. So I don't think it's fair for people to criticize Infantino. Or the same way it's not fair to criticize FIFA in general for corruption. Like, it's a big organization where you have a lot of different incentives. You need some incentive alignment procedure, which unsurprisingly, bribery does count as. Right. So, again, FIFA, again, easy contrarianism, but FIFA, not as bad as you think. Fall. Bad idea. Could slip and fall. But that's the Watergate Hotel over there in all its postmodern elegance versus the Kennedy Center. And then over there you've got Georgetown, and there you've got the good old Arlington bits and pieces. So, you know, again, not like this part of DC is that, again, to the dead space concept, right? Like your big highways, as we kind of saw walking in, right? Big highways, big roads, right? Again, like you see how long, like the walk through here for the Kennedy Center, like there's nothing around here, you know, that makes it particularly interesting, right? And like the Kennedy Center is literally on an island of its own. If anything, like there really should be more, well, you think. Of course, yesterday apparently there's a big kerfuffle with letting journalists in. I assume that's because the president was here and all that. And apparently it's very difficult to get in. But the red carpet feels nice. Okay, I guess. They've wrapped the events up already. So, but you can see red carpet.
What can I do for you?
I'm just walking around because of the event yesterday.
What's that?
I'm walking around because of the event yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the building is still closed right now. When you say you're walking around?
Yeah. From.
Good, you're good.
Yeah. All right. Security guys, man. It's like walking around is a strange concept, you know, but. Yeah. Very annoying, but what can you do? But yeah, but this is the Kennedy Center, right? So it's a big place, but I think this is so I think this line right here is where the journalists had the struggle to get in. This man, there's like, I guess that makes sense with like your security camera stuff. But yeah, you can see up there, right? John Kennedy International something. Nice, no doubt. Yeah, I think those are probably like security or media stuff. Hey, look. You've got your hotels, so now we know where coaches were. I suppose that people would be less sympathetic to fireworks here compared to other places, but and you can see here, right, Hall of Flags, all of the press stuff. Because apparently, like, they're doing something later today. Like the actual, like, so of course we know the group stage, and we know the schedule, but we don't know the stadiums and all of that. So apparently, today at 12, they're announcing the actual, or the full stadium specifics. But we don't know. And apparently it's supposed to be here with the powers that be, but we don't really know. So, you know, but I guess that'll be a much sleepier affair. So, not as relevant in that sense. But again, it's a cool building. See what it's going for. Yeah, it does make sense for why it's for why it'd be a boring private event. And of course, the thing about private events is that someone's got to clean it up after the fact. So, yeah.
Come forward and turn that way. Come forward and turn to the right. Keep going. Stop. Drop it. You're good. It'll catch itself.
Yeah, the fun part venue. And clean up.
No. Hey Dave, I'm gonna turn right where you are. That's fine.
I wonder if DC has a robust union labor spiel as other cities do. Like New York City, famously. Probably not. But yeah, this is the. Yeah, I think yesterday, like, there generally was a very high density of probably big names here yesterday, right? But you generally had pretty much from every federation that was going to participate in the World Cup. Right? Probably had like the manager, probably had the continental head person here, you know. And so again, like, it being blocked to the public makes sense. Again, you can kind of see how it gets blocked off easily. But yeah, wearing a Kalshi beanie because forecasting the future is good, and at the end of the day, isn't everything gambling if you think about it? And the answer to which is, of course, yes. Everything is gambling when you think about it, right? Jaywalking is gambling. So, flags have staff. Don't recall why. Some very lonely bus stops. I can't say. I suspect many people who go to the Kennedy Center are taking the bus to get back. Can't say I suspect that to be the case, but you know, that is what it is. But it's nice that they have the thought of having bus stops. But yeah, of course DC has no games. So it is funny that the very like, how much of legacy can one man have? And it turns out Dan Snyder has a big legacy. It turns out. So, which is good to know that Dan Snyder. Yeah, because apparently DC and Baltimore there's a joint proposal that FIFA apparently was genuinely humoring, because again, it is very strange for the capital of a host country to not get any tidbits. But again, this is the actually, you probably do imagine that Trump is actually personally kind of bummed about it, because it would be nice for him to have a little gallantry. But yeah, not like we can get into, or not like there'd be a lot to do, but yeah, it would be a shame. Like, you think that in other places, right, you'd have, you know, a much bigger thing. You have like, I don't know, coming to Argentina. Like, so I went to a third tier football match, and even there, right, like, it mogs any MLS stadium, right? A third tier Argentinian match mogs any MLS stadium atmosphere, which is insane. But again, money can't be bought, you know. It's okay, look at, now the sun's out, right, you see the snow. So yeah, it's kind of pretty, but some poor bastards, chicken over rice. Again, and also another reminder is like, there's no the cheap DC food scene is incredibly limited. Like, you've got Chipotle, which is fine, but like, it's only Chipotle. It's a chain thing, so it's not like, you've got like food trucks or whatnot, right? So it's, but yeah, this is the Watergate Hotel right here, where I think about it, right? Like, that'd be a nice walk to do one day. Sometime, walk from Watergate to the White House, or from the White House to Watergate. It'd probably be from the White House to Watergate, the way I would do it. But that'd be funny, right? Or yeah, it's just, again, so that's the one redeeming thing DC has to it, is the cool stuff that has happened in the area, or just like historically the stuff that's happened in the area. but I would take the New York City or Philadelphia style halal trucks or food trucks over this over Watergate. I hate to say it, maybe I'm not a true history buff, but I would make that trade any day. Yes, I would. Well, unfortunately, not everything is red carpet, so now my foot is freezing. How did we get out? We got out by the Saudi. Yeah, we got. Okay, camera work's not the best, but do what you can. Why are security guards so aggro, man? I'm not pulling on a door. Ugh. It's horrible. But this is again also the Saudi embassy's on it, so it's not like it's one of the DuPont embassies where they're all one big gang. Okay, my foot's freezing. I love doing this for the content. I am a masochist. I shouldn't say that, but I'll do a lot for content, but my foot's kind of freezing. And I am kind of hungry. So. It's not a slip and fall. Hurt myself. Yeah, I will say like the Saudi, that is a cool motif. Or like the football club Al Ahly has the same motif, and it is actually pretty cool. So, but Christ, yeah, my foot's freezing off. And thinking about AppLovin can only do so much to raise your spirits. Or raise my spirits. So. But yeah, so you do see right how the Kennedy Center, if you do want to walk to it through transit, which would make sense, right? It's a big event, so parking is going to cost a lot and all of that. But you do see how non-transit friendly it is in practice, right? So you have a D10 bus, but we are going to walk to the closest metro stop, and so we will literally show if you want to visit the Kennedy Center, what you would have to go through in order to get here. And then ask yourself, is this pleasant? Is this nice? Is this transit-oriented development? And the answer again is no. But yeah, I guess embassies are also dead space, so I stand even more vindicated in my critique of DC. Because government buildings plus embassies, not great. Although it is funny to find random ambassador residences around DC in the nice single family parts of town. As we come across it, it'll be if anything, it's like validation of where it's nice to be. Because presumably those guys. Oh, so now we know who catered the FIFA draw, and by extension, presumably the president and all of that. So now we know. This is why we. This is the investigative journalism that you do on only on weekends or weekends though, never on a weekday. But yeah, I generally, we did some underground stuff at the day before the inauguration earlier this year. That's probably the only pure form of investigative journalism that's been done on this channel, if I'm being honest. But it is what it is. It's more than the average channel, right? Again, it is. Again, this is Watergate, so ready. Conditions are kind of are miserable. Yeah, chicken over rice. That would go well at the moment. Can we have it? No, of course not, because DC is not allowed to have nice things, of course. Well, again, all it comes down to price point. But again, the price. Oh my gosh. Oh man. Gosh. A different life. Oh my gosh. A different life, man. App loving. Oh my gosh. Again, the worst part is, well, it would be funny. At what point does the tax bill from selling AppLovin just mentally psych me out? So I wouldn't, the tax bill, like 7K into 550K. Right. And so the 7K becomes 10K, becomes 20K, becomes 30K, goes down to 20, then 40, blah, 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 up to 550K. Right. So at what point, right? And so when you sell, right, of course, it goes into your taxable income. And so there's a fun thought experiment of what point does the tax bill become so large that you actively don't consider, it's a behavioral thing at that point. Now, of course, you're not going to sell the entire position. You can sell yes, I need to repay the student loans. I need to repay the student loan. Oh, there's a nice little phallic. Nice little phallic thing. I need to repay my student loan. I put in 7K and I bought X shares. How can I repay the student loan? Let me sell one share. No, you would sell 14 shares. Let me sell 14 shares to repay the student loan / leverage. It's just a sigh moment, a different life. Crap, how my socks are wet. A different life is possible. Is the theme. But instead, here we are. I do suppose, in that reality, I would not be here. In a post-economic reality, I would sincerely never see snow again. And anytime it's... Yeah, I would generally... I would be... Southern Hemisphere into winter. Not here. And then flip. Right, and so if you can avoid winter for literally the rest of your life, why wouldn't you do that? Right. And so Buenos Aires is probably the best Southern Hemisphere, right? Johannesburg's probably got a bit too much hair on it. Well, it's just a bit strange to live completely segmented from most of the population. You want to be comfortable? Again, Buenos Aires, you walk 5 blocks and the vibe Or you walk 5 blocks and it goes from like a shitty barrio, and then you're in like a very nice. A very nice part of town. There's a nice big park. I presume like the people who live in the bad part of town, it's not hard for them to walk 5 blocks. Yeah, but the nice part of town is still safe and nice, and it's like, huh. The demeanor really doesn't need to change that much, does it? But again, of course, you visit somewhere else, and it's going to naturally be nicer and better. But at the very least, it helps you identify differences. And again, the fact that the teenagers who live in the shitty parts of Buenos Aires, they all paid a fare, but the kids here who live in much better material conditions don't. Like at the end of the day, like there is